the GiveSendGo Spotlight. I'm so glad you are joining us today, where we spotlight campaigns that are on GiveSendGo and bring the news to you so that you can find out what people are doing all over the world. Today, I have a couple guests that I've actually met in person, and I haven't met a lot of our campaign owners in person, but just a couple of weeks ago, I was down in San Antonio, and I was able to meet Joeylynn and her husband, Robert, while I was there. And when I was talking with them, I said, you know what, let's get your story out. Let's share what you're raising funds for. And so I'd like to introduce you guys, the Mesaros. Is that, I don't even know if you had an ES, Mesaros or whatever. But anyways, Joeylynn and Robert, and I'm so glad that you are on our show today.
Thank you so much for having us. It's so good to see you again. It was so fun to meet you and see the faces that are behind this awesome platform.
So tell us a little bit about who you are. You know, obviously you have a campaign on GiveSendGo, but you're more than a campaign on GiveSendGo. So who are you guys?
I'm Joeylynn, and this is my husband, Robert. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I homeschool my son. Rob's a plumber. We are a small family in New Braunfels, Texas, and we started our GiveSendGo campaign to raise funds for a legal defense. We are facing charges in federal court under the Ku Klux Klan law because we flew Trump flags next to the Biden-Harris campaign bus, which you may remember seeing viral videos of that on the news during early election last year.
So that's really interesting, the KKK laws. And so how are they tying that into you know, having a Trump train around Biden's bus, whether you like it or not, whether you think people should be doing that or not? I'm kind of confused about the whole, what kind of KKK? Are you guys white supremacists? You members of the KKK?
No,
we are not. We are not. And the whole point for going out was really just to exercise free speech and to show support for our candidate in the exact same capacity that the people with the Biden bus were showing support for their candidate, kind of like you'd wear your favorite jersey to a sporting event. But, you know, we found out later on mainstream media that the individuals in the bus were offended and traumatized that we were next to them on the road, and they're suing us for money. It's a civil lawsuit. There are no criminal charges. They are just traumatized that we were present with an opposing view. But we believe in free speech for everybody, and we believe that everybody deserves to have their voice heard. So we're going to stand up to defend free speech and clear our family name from these kinds of allegations, because they're claiming that we banded together to suppress minority and Black voter rights, which is why we're getting sued under that law.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. I was wondering, like, what sort of thing would they have tried to stick under that, you know, being GiveSendGo and standing up also for freedom, even for people that we might not like or agree with. We get thrown and name called a lot as well, all sorts of things. And, you know, the other day I was talking to my daughter and my son. I have an adopted son and my youngest daughter, who was our surprise baby. And they were fighting with each other, right? And comes inside, and my 7-year-old's like, Dwight calls me stupid. And I said, well, are you stupid? And she says, no. And I said, okay, so who cares then? Like, if he called you a banana, would you be upset? And she laughed, and she's like, no. I said, exactly, because you're not a banana. So if they call you stupid and you're not stupid, just laugh, because you know you're not stupid. Pretend he's calling you a banana, because that. And then I was like, I need to take this for myself, because it can feel like you can let names stick to yourself, right? Like, people start calling you things and you're like, I have to prove that I am not a white supremacist. I have to prove that I am not this and this. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, I know it's not true. If they called me a banana, I would not ever feel the need to prove I wasn't a banana, because it's just the way I live my life, right? So it sounds silly, but now when someone throws out some, you know, they like to just send an email. It means nothing. It says, it doesn't take any facts, and they just want to throw some names out there and hope they stick. And I've learned to say, oh, look, they're calling me a banana. That's actually kind of funny, because I know I'm not. So just, I don't know, just for the future, as you hear these days, you know, just run the play over your mind. I'm not a banana.
I think that's great, because we get a lot of those kinds of messages now since this happened, and we feel the need to explain that we're not what they think every time the messages come through, and we're kind of exhausted from
trying to explain and justify.
like, that's not what happened. Here's the truth. And then we're just, responding to every message like that is, like you said, we just need to know ourselves and we need to stand on that truth.
And if you stand and your life is evident of something, the truth will come out. And the people who don't know me, they can think whatever they want, because the people who do know me know that I love Jesus and that I love people and that I have friends of all colors and races. Like, people, would you ever let a Muslim on your site? And I was like, actually, yeah. And actually, like, you probably want them sent back home. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I have some really good friends that live right down the street from me that are Muslim, and I love them. Like, they're like good friends of mine. And so they just want to like throw these things out. And then when I have to say, well, I have good friends that are Muslim, it makes it sound ridiculous, because now I don't care what they are, right? Like, they're just good people and I like them.
Yes.
And so I've learned to try to stop the whole defense thing, but it's hard when people are accusing you. And you know what? When Jesus was being accused, he just stood there silently, and he said, Father, forgive them, because they don't know what they're doing. And I'm like, okay, God, as I become more like you, I still have a little bit ways to go, but help me to not respond the way my emotions are telling me to respond, right? Because it's hard. It's hard.
Yes. And I just read the passage about Jesus being silent, in response to the accusations against him. And I thought, wow, I've been loud, I'm like, that's not true. And I do want to be more like Christ. And so, on one hand,
and he, more than anybody, like, the accusations didn't fit, right? Yes. And he had more right than anybody to defend himself, and he didn't.
Yes.
And I'm like, all right, help me to be quiet. And I'm not telling you to be quiet, because I do think there's times to so we're ending this interview right now, because we like Jesus. No, but I think there are times that, and this is one of the reasons GiveSendGo, one of our probably on our marketing team said, from the womb, because we believe babies are babies in the womb, to the tomb, like, we will give people a voice, and we will stand for people's voices, even those we might not agree with. And so, whether I agree or not of you driving beside a Biden van waving flags, if you weren't running them off the road, if you weren't doing anything dangerous and, not following the road, obviously if you're banging into them, doing some sort of weird something, but if you're just following along and, they feel intimidated, well, yeah, that's just crazy to me. That's crazy. And, but no matter what, you have the right to stand up and say, no, we were doing this, and now we want to raise legal fees, because we're found ourselves in a place where we need finances to help us move forward, because it can be scary for your family and for how hard you've worked your whole life and things like that, to say, okay, it could all be taken away.
Right.
And so you started a campaign. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, we heard that. So when we learned that because we found out about it on mainstream media first, then when we did get served weeks later, we realized it was real, and we started to find out, what does this mean? What is this going to cost? And we learned our legal defense costs to prove that these are just hurtful lies. We're going to be over $200,000 just to go through the legal system in federal court and to defend free speech and prove that we were not trying to suppress voter rights by exercising free speech. And being a stay-at-home mom with a husband that is our sole provider, that's not money that we had. So you're exactly right. We had to turn to fundraising to fight this fight.
Was anybody on the bus getting ready to go vote? Like, that you are prohibiting from voting? Like, I just am kind of like, if it's a Biden bus, then they probably all are just going to vote for Biden. Like, you're not prohibiting them. Like, it wasn't like they were picking up people from like neighborhoods and busing them in to go vote, and you were trying to stop them.
And I would be willing to bet that they all had already voted. I don't know for sure, but
yeah, or their vote was obviously, if they were on that bus, they were already counted. So you weren't trying to stop
No, they were campaign staff for Biden.
Okay.
No, and that was not the plan. The plan, we thought it would be cool to take a picture next to the bus with our flags. Here we are now.
Bless your heart, like they say down in the southern states.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And you know, the Give Send Go is, we became a platform. You know, we started 7 years ago as a place where we said, you know what, there's not really a place for Christians to join together and make a difference in the world. And then fast forward 7 years later, and we can see that God had a bigger plan, where he was like, no, I need a platform here for everybody's voices. And so you have campaigns like yourself. We have other campaigns that come on that are saying, listen, I wouldn't be allowed to fundraise on another platform. They wouldn't allow me to. And so how did you actually hear about GiveSendGo? What made you come over to us?
So when we were facing the new news about this lawsuit, we did not know what to do. And somebody said, it was a woman that I know from a ladies' wine night where we drink wine and we talk politics around the table. And she said, you do not want a GoFundMe. You want a GiveSendGo. And I had never heard of it before. And when we started researching and comparing, we realized that's exactly what we wanted, because the Christian values aligned with ours, but the freedoms even more, right, equally aligned with ours. We did not want to be shut down and refunded like we had seen, you know, happening in some other cases. We needed to make sure that the platform we chose would work for us so that we could continue fighting this fight without, you know, being shut down. So that, you know, when she told us that, we went straight for it and didn't hesitate at all. And then when we got to meet you guys at the Reawaken America tour, that was just so cool. Everyone's like, oh, you need a GiveSendGo. You got to go talk to them. We have one.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I can see, I have your campaign pulled up, and I can see you've raised about $47,000 right now, with the most recent donations even being today, a few hours ago. How are you sharing your campaign?
So we're sharing it on social media, which is tricky. We get censored heavily. We are sharing it word of mouth. I will go speak at, you know, local churches, conservative club meetings, freedom rallies, you know, and we've made business cards that have the Bible verse we're claiming with the GiveSendGo link on it. We've created a website and linked the fundraiser to the website. So it's really grassroots word of mouth. We haven't had a lot of publicity on it.
Okay. Well, I just want to tell people, if they want to read more about your story or they want to donate, and one of the cool things on GiveSendGo, maybe you can't even, you know, money's tight, it's almost Christmas, it's Thanksgiving, that we do have a pray now button as well. And people can go on, and if all at this moment you can even just give a prayer, you know, those words of encouragement a lot of times can help even more than the money. Obviously the money is very needed, and if you can donate something. Giving Tuesday is coming up on November 30th, which is a National Day of Giving. And on Giving Tuesday, if you want to push it out on Giving Tuesday, and we have a whole Giving Tuesday handbook and things with like graphics you can use and put your link in, and so they look all cool and professional and things like that. But on Giving Tuesday, GiveSendGo is covering all the processing fees, and so you'll get 100% of donations. So you process your money, we'll figure out what those processing rate is, and then we'll refund that back to you. So try to get donations on Giving Tuesday. That's our way of giving back, because we say, you know, we don't want giving just to be in our name. It's who we are. We want to be givers. You know, we serve a generous God, and we want to be generous as well. So anybody who wants to go to this campaign, you go to GiveSendGo.com/Mesaros. Mesaros. It's also going to be across the bottom of this video, and you can read more, you can pray, you can share, you can give, all of the above. And I know they'll be extremely grateful with their help as they fight this battle, as they stand up for the truth and their ability to have some freedom in the United States, freedom to drive down a highway and parallel to another car that you disagree with. And, you know, and so go to GiveSendGo.com/Mesaros. And any final words, anything you would like to say?
You just brought up like the Pray Now button. I love that feature, because I will go through there and I'll read, you know, anytime I'm because I'll get on social media and I'll get discouraged at, some of the things people say. And so then I'll backtrack and I'll go to y'all's website and I'll actually read, a lot of the comments, prayers and stuff that people write to us. And it is so encouraging getting to see that.
Awesome. Did you ever get a prayer call?
Yes, we
Yeah,
did.
you
So
did.
Gigi got it because she created the
Oh,
fundraiser.
that's right. Okay.
They prayed for us, and then she told us about it, and we were so blessed by that. And we're grateful that you shared our story. We really want to fight to defend free speech for all Americans, not just Americans that agree with us, but everybody, whether we agree or disagree. I love how simply you said, just driving down the road next to somebody else you disagree with, it shouldn't be something that costs you your entire livelihood or savings account, right? Like we should be able to coexist. And so we take this very seriously, and we want to maintain these freedoms for our children and our children's children. And we're so grateful that you gave us an opportunity to share our story, but we want to make sure everybody that's watching or listening is encouraged, right? That they continue to speak up and speak out, and that they're not afraid to share their values or their truths because of what they might receive from other people. Because we have found that while we have offended some, we have the support of many, and we're so blessed anyways.
One last question. If let's say somebody steps in, they watch this video or they hear you speaking somewhere at a conference or something, and they go, we want to cover this pro bono. Well, now you have $47,000 or $100,000, or maybe your fees cost less than what you're thinking, or whatever happens. What would you do with any donations that are left over?
You want to tell her?
Yeah, so I want to, because I realize we cannot be the only people in this kind of position. So we want to start some kind of a fund or, like a nonprofit to where we can actually be a resource and help people who find themselves in the same situation, because navigating it was difficult about this lawsuit. And I think I just wanted to kind of disappear for a while because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what to do, who to talk to, who to go to. So now that we have, some of that experience, I'd like to be able to be a resource to somebody else who needs that kind of help.
Yeah. And that is awesome, because that really is what our stories are about. I believe that our stories are meant, like when we go through something, that God's not going to waste that pain, waste that story. He's going to put us in line with other people who might need us at that time to say, listen, it's not hopeless. It's not, don't be discouraged. I know it feels like everybody's against you, but let me tell you this truth. Let me speak truth into you. And when, we don't like going through the hard times, we don't like going through the pain,
right? But
through that pain, we're able to empathize with others, and we're able to share the hope we found while we were going through the pain. If things were always great, it would be hard to understand when someone said, oh, I'm going through this hard time. We'd be like, oh, well, sorry, that must suck. But now you go, okay, it's like raising children. If your kid starts making a bad decision, right, and you have to deal with that, you have a lot more empathy for other parents when you see their kids making bad decisions versus saying, you should have done it right. Please tell me how I should have done it right. But you do. Once you've gone through it, I think that's why we are also put on this earth, is to share that hope we experience through the difficult times with other people that we come in contact with. So I love that that's something you want to do. And I encourage you that even if you spend every penny on legal fees, that you continue to figure out how you're going to use this in the future to impact others, whether financially or just as a support system or however. I think what's coming out of the censorship that we're seeing, we've seen a lot of it. GiveSendGo has seen a lot of it, has been attacked a lot. And what we're seeing, the light at the end of the tunnel, or the good thing that is coming out of it, is that people are starting to stand up. We're becoming not complacent any longer. For so long, the Facebooks and the Amazons and the GoFundMes and all of that, they were just good enough. They were comfortable. They were, and we all used them. And even now, trying to pull away from ordering from Amazon and trying to pull away from being on Facebook and trying to pull away, it's hard because they've intertwined in our lives. But as the censorship gets worse, guess what happens? We have to start saying, when you get shut off of Facebook, you have to find something else. When
Yes.
GoFundMe shuts you down, you have to find something else. And it's causing platforms like GiveSendGo and others to
Yes.
step on up and say, no,
Yes.
we're going to be, and I love this at that conference, someone said, oh, because we would say we're the alternative. And then someone said, oh no, they introduced us and they're like, oh, this is GoFundMe's replacement. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. That's how I'm introducing ourselves from now on.
Yes.
We're the replacement. We're not
That's
the
right.
alternative. We're the replacement.
You're the primary.
Exactly. And so we're thankful that you found GiveSendGo. We're thankful that you've been able to raise some money on there and feel encouraged from the messages of hope. That is our whole goal, is that people can experience the hope of Jesus through crowdfunding. It really is. It's the bottom line, everything we do.
Through and through, that's been true from every single encouraging prayerful word or word with the donation. And just the entire process of fundraising has brought us closer to God. It has done nothing but build our faith. And he has been faithful to provide for us as we need it, right? It would be so much easier to take this monster on if we had $200,000 in the bank. We wouldn't have to think twice about it or even worry about it. We, we deal with it. But this has produced character growth. This has produced dependence on God and really, really patiently waiting for him to use Americans to help us. And so it's been an incredible journey, and it's difficult, but I wouldn't change anything. It's been a beautiful journey.
And there's a song, I don't know if you ever listen to Christian music or whatever, but there's a song out now that says, all my life you've been faithful, all my life you've been so, so good. Yes. And I can cry when I think about it, because it's like, it hits me, like it just those words, even saying it, like my eyes tear up, because I'm like, it's so true. And yet I go through something hard and I forget. I can look back and go, oh, look, he was faithful there, and he was faithful there, and he was faithful there. And then I go through something hard and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I have to figure this out and solve it. And I'm like, no, God, teach me to remember, not to wait till I look back and see you faithful. Help me to remember in this minute you're faithful, even when the finances aren't there, even when I can't buy groceries, even when you are still faithful. And so that's going to be my prayer to you, for you, for your family, is that you find God faithful in the minute, like in this minute, not in the past when you look back over this season and you go, wow, look how faithful God is, but that you find him faithful now, so that you're not walking around a ball of nerves and stress and anxiety and all the stuff that comes with stressful things like this. And so that's going to be my prayer for you, that you find him faithful. And again, we love having a crowdfunding site. It's important for people to be able to raise money, but more important, our heart is to share the hope we found in Jesus. And so thank you so much for coming on. Again, the link is at the bottom of this video. Click on it, go to it, send some encouraging words, give a few dollars. Giving Tuesday, we'll be covering processing fees. So that's the perfect day to give. So thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Same.